Be in Tucson during the bowl.
Try and go to the bowl. Is that what you said?
Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl bound after a 31-7 ass whooping of the San Francisco 49ers. We got John here in studio to talk a little game. Could you imagine if I told you at the beginning of the game, leading receiver for the Eagles would have 36 yards, leading rusher for the Eagles would have 48 yards, Jalen Hurts would pass for 121 yards. Would you think the Eagles would come on top of a 4-possession victory?
There was a lot of shenanigans that went down this game. It was not
many
a
shenanigans.
Normal game
No.
Any way whatsoever. Who was the leading receiver?
Leading receiver was one Devontae Smith for 36 yards.
The only catch I remember was the one down the side,
the fourth down play.
Yeah.
Which set the tone for the whole game. It was really the only great offensive play of the game for either team. It was a grind out, brawl down, however you want to put it, defensive battle that the Eagles came out on top of. And it's crazy to say it was a defensive battle when we scored 31 points.
It was, I don't even know what to call it. Like it was a strange game, like a lot of penalties, obviously on the 49ers most.
Yeah. No, 49ers obviously had a lot of penalties. For anybody saying like, oh, the officials ruined that game, like, please tell me what penalty was wrong. Like the officials, they had to make those penalties. The 49ers made them so obvious that it's like, well, we kind of have to call that penalty. Like, we don't want to, but you're making it way too obvious. We have a job to do. We need to do that job. And when your hand is holding the face, not even the face mask, under the mask, grabbing the face of Jason Kelce, we have to call it. When you're grabbing Boston Scott, we have to call it. When you're knocking the punter out, we have to call it. Mm-hmm. So it's just anybody trying to talk officials. It's ridiculous. I don't care if you officiated 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of any level of football. Yeah. The officials played no impact in the course of this game. Hassan Reddick played a large impact in the course of this game.
The boy Hassan was a beast right off the bat.
Oh my gosh. I mean, what kind of game plan did they have of, oh, don't worry about Hassan, we'll be fine?
Maybe they did, and it just didn't work.
No. And then he didn't take Josh Johnson out of the game. That was, I believe, that was Sue. Sue knocked him out of the game with a concussion, but he took Brock Purdy out of the game. No, Reddick took Brock Purdy out of the game with an elbow, whatever.
Purdy.
Yeah, he took Purdy out of the game for him to come back in the game and attempt one more pass. But can we talk about Gannon allowing 100% completion percentage to the opposing quarterback? You can't do that in the Super Bowl and expect to win.
I mean, they didn't do much with it.
100% completion percentage. Unacceptable.
Purdy, like four attempts.
4 for 4 for 32 yards, I believe. 4 for 4. Let's see. Yeah. Brock Purdy went 4 for 4 for 23 yards. Okay. You can't allow 100% completion percentage in the Super Bowl. You just can't allow it. Let's see. As a Giants fan, y'all going to win the Super Bowl. You smoke the only team that I thought could take you out. Yeah, I mean, King Chris, like, you're spot on, man. Like the Niners, I was talking a lot of shit like before game and everything, but the Niners were a great team. They had one of the best defenses we've seen in the past number of years, and I was cautiously optimistic heading into this game. Brock Purdy didn't scare me, but Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle with his history against Philadelphia, that's a little bit scary. And so heading into this game, I didn't love that we got the ball to start the game, but I told you right before the kickoff, I was like, look, if we get the ball to start the game and we score, that's a great thing. Right. If we don't, it's a terrible thing. Like they have all the momentum immediately on their side. They get the ball to start the second half. And we went down, and an amazing play by Devontae Smith, 4th down play, great catch. Whether you want to call it a catch or not, it's a catch. Until he challenges it and they rule it not a catch, it's a catch. You can argue Kyle Shanahan, arguably a fireable offense, not challenging that on a crucial part of the game. Am I wrong?
He tucked it in and pulled it like pretty close to his body, so it was hard to see. Like, what like as fast as it happened, it's hard to tell. Like,
yeah, but they still had over 15 seconds. They still had over 15 seconds to be able to challenge that play, and that's a play.
Looking at like if he pulled it and also his feet got in, so like
his feet. Yeah, they quickly saw they could immediately determine he was in bounds. But then they should have been able They have an entire department up in the box watching these plays. And radio transmissions are instantaneous. The fact that Kyle Shanahan didn't challenge that play, thank you, Kyle. But that's a ridiculous. This guy has proven time after time he is one of the best regular season coaches and one of the worst postseason coaches. You look at him when he was
like Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Just like old Glenn Rivers. No, I mean, you look at him back when he was the play caller for the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl with Matty Ice. Awful play. Yeah, Kyle Shanahan, 28-3. Yeah, 28-3. Play some of the worst play calls ever seen in the Super Bowl.
Arguably,
all he had to do was run the ball. All he had to do was run the ball and they win the game. He continually drops back, third down, second down, dropping back to pass, ruins the game. And then postseason again, we said it in the over-under show yesterday with Angry Eagles fan hangout and Ryan and Jason over from BSN Sports and Sports and Metal. We said last night, like, Kyle Shanahan doesn't scare me in the postseason. He continually shoots himself in the foot, and him not challenging that play right at the beginning of the game. They get 3 and out essentially in that play, and they get the ball. Game could go completely differently because, look, butterfly effect. One thing changes, everything changes. Brock Purdy is likely not getting hit out of the game. I mean, he may have on a completely different play, but that specific play would not have happened if he challenges that play.
Yeah, that's true.
It wouldn't. And then at that point, you have no idea what's going to happen. We got pressure all game, no matter what, because look, you can argue the quarterback. Yeah, you can argue the quarterbacks got knocked out of the game early, but the offensive line stayed healthy the entire game, and we had consistent pressure the entire game. So
I'm worried about Landon Dickerson. We did see that.
Yeah, hyperextension of the right elbow,
which we don't know how bad it is.
Yeah, missed the last number of snaps in the fourth quarter. But the nice thing is he's got 2 weeks.
That's true.
He's got 2 weeks where he doesn't have to do anything. Stay in shape, because you can work your legs out all you want with your elbow being hurt. He can stay in shape. He can run. He can do conditioning all he wants. That elbow is going to be a little bit sore. We're going to talk to Doc Mesa from our friends at Delaware Orthopedic Specialists. Why trust anyone other than a specialist? Be sure to visit them at delawareortho.com or 302-65 650-9494. That's it. 650-9494. We're all drinking a little bit of that Ike juice.
Ike juice, baby.
Riding that Eagles to the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, baby.
But Landon Dickerson, obviously, being one of the only injuries for the Eagles in that game. Kayvon Wallace possibly facing any kind of suspension. Unlikely. He really didn't do anything.
I don't think he did anything.
He didn't do anything.
He got body slammed.
He talked that talk. And Trent Williams, who's used to having a smoke and a drink after getting fucked in the ass, said, "I'm going to throw you to the ground." And he threw him to the ground. Yeah, he got effed in the A, Trent Williams. And he said, "I'm going to throw you to the ground." And Kayvon got mad and kind of gave him a little face mask shove.
Yeah, I didn't see why Kayvon got ejected. I didn't see.
No, he caught him with a right or a left. He caught him with a left after he got thrown down. Second man always gets the penalty. You saw it early in the game. Look, he got tossed. It didn't matter. It was a fourth down. It was a play that was completely irrelevant. We got the ball and went into victory formation after that.
Coming out on the 49ers point.
But can you imagine, again, the leading receiver having 32 yards, the leading rusher having under 50 yards, and us not passing for over 130 yards, and us winning by 24.
Like I said, weird game.
Technically a 3-possession game. By all accounts, that's a 4-possession game. That's perfect 2-point conversions on 3 consecutive touchdowns. Not having any yards realistically on offense, not having a defensive score. Like, you'd expect that, and then you have you have a blocked kick for a touchdown and a
receiving touchdown.
Yeah.
Not a receiving touchdown.
Not a receiving touchdown, not a defensive touchdown, not a special teams touchdown. And you score 31 points.
Our offense did not play that.
No, Jalen Hurts, it was one of his worst games in the past 10 games.
Yes.
Jalen Hurts was off. He was a little bit jumpy. He looked like Gene Segura in the World Series. He was gripping the bat a little bit tight. He was just a little bit tight. But he's got 2 weeks to loosen up, baby. Call up Deshaun Watson. Find a good masseuse.
You know what? Jalen Hurts is still good?
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Okay, so, Jalen Hurts is a cool cucumber, and I think he will bounce back.
Oh, yeah.
Like
he's going to go in the locker room.
Little jumpy, a little weird today, but I would say he's the type of guy that's going to bounce back.
King Chris TV. The great thing is Reddick is signed for another 2 seasons after this. He was signed to a 3-year, $45 million extension.
Who's this, Reddick?
Yeah, which we actually called before the offseason. I said in our last year off seasons where I said we need to sign Hassan Reddick to a 3-year, $45 million offer. And you know what we did? We signed Hassan Reddick to a 3-year, $45 million deal. But CJ Gardner-Johnson, 100% agree with you, have to make him a priority. We have 8 of our starting 11 players on defense are unrestricted free agents this year.
Yeah.
But we've got 2 weeks to not worry about that. We worry about that in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We've got 2 weeks to prepare for the Super Bowl. Exactly. Trust me.
Wrap up the Super Bowl.
King Chris, you are spot on. We are going to be talking about that a ton in the offseason because Eagles have 23 unrestricted free agents. 23. 8 of the 11 starting defensive players are unrestricted free agents. And a lot of the offense. Look, I get it. Fletcher Cox is likely not to come back unless it's on a veteran minimum. Although he had 7 sacks in the regular season. Once we added Linville Joseph and Ndamukong Suh.
Together.
Exactly. Once we added those 2 spot placers, just completely locking it down, he did a lot better because he only had to play about 35% of the snaps.
That makes sense.
But he still had a very terrible start to the season when he was playing over 60% of the snaps. He's not going to get anywhere near 17 million a year or 14 million a year like he has this year. Jason Kelce, unfortunately, and not so unfortunately, after we win the Super Bowl, is likely to retire. But we have his replacement in second-round pick, Creed Humphrey, drafted this past season.
I actually don't even know who that is.
Yes, the center we drafted this past season, Jason Kelce, handpicked him to be his replacement.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, the second-round pick this year.
Jurgensen?
Cam Jurgensen. Why did I say Creed Humphrey? Creed Humphrey Creed Humphrey is the Chiefs center who we might be facing, who the previous year.
I was very lost there.
The previous year, and if you look back at our Instagram, man. I actually projected the Eagles to take him in the second round, and I was a little bit upset that they passed on him because he's obviously becoming the second best center in the NFL behind Jason Kelce. Cam Jurgens is obviously our replacement center for Jason Kelce, who is likely after the Super Bowl victory going to retire. So you have a number of players who are just going to retire. Brandon Graham, you have to bring him back at this point. I mean, 11 and a half sacks in the regular season, having a career year. He's already stated he wants to retire an Eagle. Career year, first time in double digits after an Achilles injury. That's insane. The fact that he isn't in the finalist for Comeback Player of the Year is a slight to the entire award. Let me ask you this: what has Geno Smith come back from? He is a finalist for Comeback Player of the Year. What did he come back from?
Just not being good.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Brandon Graham, an Achilles injury, a lot of people say is worse than an ACL.
Yeah, it's such a vital, it's such a huge.
Yeah, the Achilles ligament is the most important in athletics of any other ligament.
That's why it took so long to come back from it. Yeah.
And he had an Achilles tear at 34 years old.
You hear this fireworks?
I hear him.
You hear this fireworks?
Birds going to the bowl, baby.
That's birds fireworks.
That's birds fireworks. Brandon Graham suffers one of the worst injuries you can suffer in sports. Comes back to have the best year of his career. Double-digit sacks, playmaker all over the field. Geno Smith sucked, and then he didn't suck. He came back from mediocrity.
Oh, so did Geno Smith actually?
Yeah, he's a finalist. No, he's one of the 3 finalists for Comeback Player of the Year. Geno Smith, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey.
And is this offensively?
That's just Comeback Player of the Year. Those are the 3 finalists.
Okay. All right.
I think Brandon Graham is more deserving than all 3.
I think BG should definitely be in the conversation.
Look, Christian McCaffrey, I get it. He had injuries last year, but they were just standard run of the mill. Like, oh, you had to miss some game injuries. He didn't require surgery. Right. Didn't require anything other than, oh, he missed some games. He didn't have a great year, and he went back to being what he was. It's not like 2 years ago, Christian McCaffrey was the creme de la creme. Last year, he had injuries. This year, he went back to being the creme de la creme. It's not like he wasn't insane, got injured, came back and was insane. He was insane, got injured, came back to being the same player. That's not a comeback player to me.
Yeah.
Like Saquon Barkley, insane rookie year, has had injuries ever since, came back, had a very good year. I wouldn't even call it an amazing year. He had a very good year.
Yeah.
He didn't have an amazing year. Yeah. He had a very good year.
Yeah.
A very good year.
Yeah. Borderline.
We sent his ass back in, but he had a very good year. Brandon Graham suffered an Achilles injury and had a career year at 35 years old. He is more deserving than all 3. And
he's 35?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then Hassan Reddick, 16 and a half sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries,
Man.
constant quarterback pressure. He had a couple pass defenses. Not in the finalists for Defensive Player of the Year.
He set the tone. Hassan Reddick set
the
tone right off the bat.
He was a man on a mission.
You know, the first couple drives in the 49ers, like I think they were out of it right from the jump, honestly.
Xfinity Live, I just got the email from you. I don't know how I'm on your email list, but saying how the Eagles are Super Bowl bound. Here's something for you, Xfinity Live. You hosted the Giants tailgate and the Niners tailgates. Get out of here with Eagles or Super Bowl. You don't give a shit about Philadelphia. You only care about the bottom dollar. This Eagles team is probably the best all-around built team ever. Wow. This is coming from a Giants fan.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This is coming from a Giants fan. That's a bold take, but
it is a bold statement.
They have one of the best defenses in the NFL with 70 sacks. Even if you take out this week 17, which, look, you put an asterisk, every record's going to be broken with the 17th game. And in 2 years, I predict there will be an 18th game. The NFL is heading towards an 18-game season.
It makes sense to round it out because there's 8 home games, 8, 9 away.
Yeah,
games.
they're on their way to an 18-game season. Yeah. So I get it. But if you just count the 16-game season, we had 68 sacks.
Yeah.
He's right. Like, this defense had 68 sacks. We had an insane amount. We had 16 interceptions? Or no, we had more than that. CJ Gardner-Johnson had 6 himself. Yeah. We have nonstop pressure. We allowed 178 passing yards per game. Do you know how insane that is? 178 passing yards per game allowed. People want to talk about Jonathan Gannon, his soft zone coverage, allowing quarterbacks just to feed over the middle. You give a quarterback 178 passing yards a game, they're not going to win many games. And they didn't win many games. We've only lost 3 times. And 2 of those losses you can put strongly on Quez Watkins' shoulders. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
You're highly critical of Quez Watkins.
He sucks.
It is what it is.
He's one of the worst.
He's
one of the worst
wide
receiver threes. Yeah, water under the bridge. Look, we're going to the bowl. We'll deal with Quez.
16-1 now as a starter on the season. So
he is 19-2 over the last 21 games.
We're in the Super Bowl. That's what matters. Yeah,
and at this point, again, I'm gonna ask you again. You answered it a little bit earlier. You've had a little bit more time to think about it. Who do you want to face?
Okay.
Chiefs, Bengals.
Game starting pretty soon.
Game starting in 60 seconds.
Man, neither.
They're both good teams, but again, you look up just matchups. Bengals offensive line. If you say Bengals offensive line sucks. Our defensive line rips. Okay, well, that's a win. Wide receivers, do you take Bengals wide receivers, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins over AJ Brown and Devontae Smith? But it's not that big of a difference. I agree. They're better.
Wide receivers wise, you got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins,
and then Tyler Boyd's the big break because our wide receiver 3 sucks. We have no wide receiver 3. We don't. Quez Watkins, Zach Pascal, neither of them are wide receiver 3. So wide receivers goes to the Bengals. Tight ends goes to the Eagles. Hayden Hurst over Dallas Goedert. No, Dallas Goedert. No, we're talking Bengals
just
right now.
Bengals?
Just Bengals. Okay. We match up offensively. We have arguably, I agree. I think we have the better running back. Joe Mixon is their only guy. And he's good.
He's decent.
But overall, as a group, Kenny Gainwell, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott scored another touchdown today. I would say gets a very slight edge over who do they have? They have Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine. I give the slight edge to the Eagles.
He's pretty old.
Wide receivers, slight edge to the Bengals. Tight end, easy win for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Offensive line, all day the Eagles.
Yeah. Defensive line, also, whatever you want to say.
Quarterback. If you look at just this game, the NFC Championship, you got to say Burrow. But if you look at a whole, it's almost a wash. It's almost a wash. I still think Burrow slight edge over Jalen Hurts right now, but it's almost a wash.
Yeah, I mean, Burrow he's locked in right now. I'll give him that.
Yeah, Burrow very slight edge, but overall, offensively, match very good, and then defensively, secondary Eagles. Eli Apple, stop. Bengals secondary is not good.
No.
Bengals defensive line is nothing to write home about. They're good. They're above average.
Our defensive line
is the best in the NFL.
Snapped today. They ate.
They did exactly what they did all season against weaker opponents. They did exactly what they've done all season. Defensive line goes to Eagles.
I was very happy with the line today.
Secondary, and then linebackers you can argue is a wash. So I think we match up very well against the Bengals, and then the Chiefs again. Offensive line, Chiefs made a lot of improvements, but our offensive line is still better. Running backs, you think Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco And
Okay.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is better than Miles Sanders,
No.
Kenny Gainwell, and Boston Scott. So running back is us. Quarterback goes to the Chiefs. If he's healthy, Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, you got Mahomes right now.
Tight end, you got to go to the Chiefs. If he's healthy, Travis Kelce is the best tight end in football. Arguably the best tight end ever.
Yeah.
Arguably the best tight end ever.
Maybe ever.
Offensive line, we still have the edge, even though their offensive line is very well improved. And then wide receivers, obviously Eagles. Obviously, you think Juju Smith-Schuster, Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is better than A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? You just put our top two. It's better than all of their wide receivers.
Yeah.
Defensive line, Eagles. Secondary, Eagles. Linebackers, wash.
I went into the Niners game like pretty confident, which normally like obviously you got to look at the X's and O's, but like I was pretty confident about this game. And like I said, weird game. Shit happened that like a lot of penalties, but
yeah. But let me ask you this. Was any penalty, and look, obviously it's easier for us to say. It's easier for us to say because the penalties were mostly against the Niners. But was any penalty like, man, we got away with one there?
No.
Every penalty was like the refs almost looked at Kyle Shanahan and was like, dude, like, what do you expect us to do? Like, that is obvious.
Nothing.
We have to call that penalty.
Nothing was unjustified. I think they were all penalties.
Yeah, I thought the officials did a fine job
doing what a head coach should do.
Yeah, you obviously you get mad, you get pissed off, but then in the locker room you grab the players and you say, "What the hell were you doing?" Like
smack them on the head.
Yeah, but during the game, I get Shanahan had to do that. He had to be pissed, he had to be mad. But at the end of the day, like every penalty called in that game, even against the Eagles, we had some stupid penalties ourselves.
Yeah,
all of them were justified. Overall, the officials did not own that game. Hassan Reddick owned that game. Hassan Reddick won the game in the first quarter. When he knocked Brock Purdy out of the game was over.
It really was.
It was over. And even before he came in, it was honestly probably over. I don't think Brock Purdy was ever coming in here and winning.
No.
Look, great story. Mr. Irrelevant, 8-1 in his 9 starts in the NFL. Incredible. If he was on any other team, he would have 3 wins. Best. Kyle Shanahan offense is the best situation for any quarterback because they have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. Did Brandon Ayuk have 1 catch this game? Well, I think only 3 players had catches. That's tough to say. I don't think anybody really had any catches. Dude, Brandon Ayuk had 1 catch for 10 yards.
Offensively, it was bad for both teams.
They attempted 15 passes.
Even though we scored.
They attempted 15 passes points all game. And well, they said they have targets, but if you look at who attempted passes, there is only they attempted how do we have 15 targets? I guess they ruled just complete throwaways. They attempted 18 passes all game. Only 15 were even 18 attempts. Only 15 of those attempts were even considered targets. 3 of the attempts were considered just blatant throwaways.
It was bad. It was bad for them, at least.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, refs was on the 49ers ass from start to finish, but they were correct. Exactly. Like, yes, the 49ers had a lot of penalties. They did. But there were penalties that the refs probably were like, look, we want to let the game go, but you were making them too obvious. You grabbed Jason Kelce by the face. You ripped Boston Scott, who is the runner, by the face mask. Like normally you see like face mask the other way around. They grab the running back who's running sideline to sideline by the face mask. You knock the punter just completely. You land on his plant leg when you dove into him. You weren't pushed or anything. Like these are, and then you spin AJ Brown around on a crucial 3rd down play. Like they didn't want to make these calls, but they were like, look, we kind of have to at this point. Like you're making it too obvious. At the end of the day, Birds win 31-7. They fell just shy of my pregame prediction of 38-7. Can we go, whoever wins this AFC Championship game, can we go into Philly and put their jersey on the Rocky statue?
Yeah.
When will teams learn that putting your the opposition's jersey on the Rocky statue does not work?
The Vikings did that.
38-7. The Giants did that. 38-7. The Niners did that. 31-7.
31-7. But we'll still take that.
At what point will opposing teams learn if you put your jersey on Rocky,
you're going to lose?
You're going to lose, and it's not going to be pretty. Our team will have a number that starts with 3 and is double digits, and your team will have 7. You are limiting yourself to 7 points guaranteed.
We're going to score between 30 and 39 points,
and you will score no more than 7.
Single digits. Yeah, you're going to lose.
That's all they wrote. Birds going to the bowl.
Go Birds.